It's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas, live from Milberger's Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. During the next 2 hours, our experts will help you with your gardening questions when you call 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. Or come by Milberger's during the show and have your question answered in person. And now it's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Alex Escobar here with Dr. Calvin Finch and a very special guest today, Karen Guz. Karen Guz.
You got it.
Filling in for Mark Peterson. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867.
Well, welcome, Karen.
Yes,
it's good
welcome.
to see you again.
Nice to see you, Calvin.
Yeah. Karen and I have a long history, Alex. We have worked together in different organizations, and Karen always seemed to get my job when I left. I don't understand that.
With him pushing me from behind to apply for the next job.
I was kind of thinking she was pushing me off. Okay. Now, Karen,
I remember you pushing me to apply for jobs and saying, yes, you can do it. Go.
Yeah. Okay. Karen just retired as the Vice President of San Antonio Water System for Conservation. Has a wonderful history of success in that. And we'll get her to talk, hopefully we can get her to talk a little bit about that. And the neat thing about water conservation in San Antonio is that people like Karen were essential and are elected officials, but also, and I think Karen agrees with me, that the people of San Antonio have been essential and key part of our water conservation success. And we started that success years ago, and it's continued, and it's been an amazing record. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, and then if you have any questions, certainly give us a call, and we can discuss those. But one of the main things we'll be talking about is the winter vegetables. And as Karen brought up, the article in the Express News today was, yesterday it was.
It was yesterday that I saw it. Maybe I missed one today.
No. Well, if the individuals out there, gardeners, want a copy of it, of course, they can get the Saturday edition. Hopefully they have a subscription. If they don't, they can get the edition at their corner store. Or if you get the Sunday edition at your corner store, I believe it also includes usually that section that includes the article, the gardening article. So you'll have that available. And it includes talking about preparing for. There's one of our giant swallowtails coming this way. A good timing, butterfly.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Butterflies are Calvin's version of squirrel.
Yeah,
sure it
He's
is.
just totally distracted when he sees a butterfly. Understandable.
I have irritated at least a few of people we've interviewed when we've been talking, and then suddenly I broke in and started talking to the butterfly. Meckel, the author, got the most.
Well, she got irritated. She's the butterfly queen.
Yeah.
I would think she would love any spotting of a butterfly, but
yeah. Yeah, we have interviewed her a couple times, and she has 2 books out there that we've talked a lot about and that are available to read, especially if you want to get. One of the big issues is the monarchs and their migration. And Karen, we're expecting them any day now here. So if we see any monarchs,
I haven't noticed them yet.
Not yet.
And I'm hoping there's enough. I know it's always. We'll come back to your vegetables. We're not going to let you forget. But I'm hoping there's enough blooming flowers for them. Isn't that sometimes a challenge for the monarchs when they come through in the fall?
Oh yeah, it's a complex issue because they only lay their eggs in milkweed, And this fall part of the migration, they head through central Texas, including San Antonio, in September and October. And if they stop and lay their eggs here in October, and the young takes them 30 days to mature, then they won't be heading on their last leg of their migration until November, and so then
kind of late.
The weather becomes a factor. So that's one of the things we debate, and that's one of the reasons why tropical milkweed is so controversial, because the native milkweeds drop their leaves and don't encourage the monarchs to lay their eggs in the fall. But the tropical milkweed, it's sitting over there blooming up a storm plus foliage. But
I see it. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. Well, and the blooms are an asset. They're nectar source, just like you mentioned, just like the lantanas and the zinnias and the plumbagos and all the flowers that are blooming in front of us. But there's a real debate whether the foliage, the late foliage on the tropical milkweed is. So when we write about, like my article next week, we'll write about that again, and we'll have that debate and discussion. Should we go ahead and prune the tropical milkweed down?
That was going to be my question. Do you just solve it by pruning it at a certain time of year, even though it's still blooming? That's hard for gardeners to do when nothing much else is blooming.
That's true.
And you don't, if you bring that to a lot of the native plant people, that's not enough for them.
Yeah, I could see that.
So that's one of the debates about what we should do. And of course, another one of the challenges is that seems to be the favorite place for the monarchs to lay their eggs.
Really, over the natives?
Seems to be. Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I would have thought the opposite, but
Yeah, and we have a certified butterfly garden here at Milberger's, and we get the monarchs laying their eggs on the tropical, and it's really the only one that'll have foliage. Now in October especially, and the queen butterflies. In fact, there's a queen butterfly right over there that are closely related to monarchs, but they don't migrate. But they also lay their eggs on the milkweeds, and they're attracted to the foliage. So it is, if you cut them, if you want to have them in the spring, they're good in April, because they're not slowing down the migration. Well, they're slowing down the migration, but the migration is slow and all the way to Canada anyway. So how did we get on this topic?
You saw a butterfly, and that was the end of veggies, because, like I said, it's like a dog seeing a squirrel. Calvin sees a butterfly, and he's riveted, and the brain flips over to butterfly. I get it.
See, Alex would never say that. He's just much more loyal than
This is what happens when you know somebody over 30 years and you invite them to film the radio. They're going to tease you about
when you work with somebody for 30 years, they don't have any respect.
Hey, this is one of your best qualities, Calvin, is that you love butterflies. How can anybody be against that? My father, by the way, the thing you may not know about me is my dad is a person who has made it one of his missions of retirement to establish the native milkweeds. So he's a master naturalist, and he's written some grants and then gotten some that then the master naturalists he works with get planted, and then he runs around hand watering them to get them established so that they're available for the monarchs.
Yeah, he's one of many gardeners.
There's a lot of people who do it, but I've joked that my dad, this is a great thing to be doing with your senior years, is making the world better for butterflies. What could be better?
To me, how it's so ironic that we have such trouble getting the native milkweeds to grow.
Yeah.
When up north, the farmers can't control the darn
Oh, I
milkweed.
didn't know that part. So
Yeah,
if you don't want them to grow with the crops, they grow, and here where we want them to grow, they...
Yeah,
Huh.
they're pretty independent. The monarchs are, and their whole lifestyle and breeding situation is so complex. But
Okay, Calvin, so now we got to get back to vegetables, because that was supposed to be a big conversation, because the timing is typically that people really need to kind of get it together about now if they want to have fall, winter vegetables. Is that
Well,
true? I mean, it's a
yeah.
tough time of year to think about it, but...
yeah, we're recommending that the gardeners do get the at very least get the soil ready, and they do that by, of course, putting 1959 fertilizer down. We recommend about 10 cups per 100 square feet of bed, and also 2 inches of compost.
And remove the old tomatoes. That's always,
That's
hard to say to people, but get rid of them, right?
Oh yeah, now you're going to get
It's
into
almost as hard as getting rid of the milkweed.
It is, but there's still it's going to fruit. It's going to fruit. There's one.
Well, they're debating.
But there's a million spider mites, so just get rid of it.
Yeah, but we can't. We actually haven't seen many spider mites. I don't.
Oh, really?
We haven't
Knock
gotten.
on wood. Okay.
As far as I know,
Is it just too hot even for spider mites? I don't know.
we have not seen spider mites. That's been one of the motivations to pull that spring crop, is because you don't want the spider mite. We can't control them. They don't allow the production of a good crop, and it's a long-term problem. So as Karen mentioned, we usually pull those tomato plants now, prepare the soil, and then we plant the new fall crop. And it's quite a deal, because now, instead of trying to beat the heat and the spider mites, now we're trying to beat the cold.
Yeah, whenever that may come.
Yeah.
But before we continue, we have a caller right now, 210-308-8867. We have James on the line. James, thank you for calling. How are we doing?
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Doing great.
What's up, James?
Yeah, I had a question for the doctor. I was given this tool with a wooden handle on it, and it's got like a scoop blade on it on one end and like a spoon on the other end. And I was told that it was purchased a long time ago from Papes, and it's for girdling peach trees.
Girdling peach trees.
That's what I was told.
That sounds
girdle the tree. You girdle the tree to get more production.
Okay, I remember that tactic. Of course, I have retired from a few things, including my peach production from years ago. We discontinued that practice, so I don't know. I'm not familiar with the tool, but that's pretty interesting. Maybe some of our listeners out there. Of course, I'm not sure anybody's any older than me or has been experienced with the peaches, but I, in the back of my mind, I remember that tactic, and I can't remember exactly what we were trying to accomplish and why the girdling was a problem, because we spend so much time now talking about how to avoid.
I always thought girdling was a terrible thing to do to a tree. I wouldn't have thought you'd ever do it intentionally, so I'm fascinated as to why it would be perceived as helpful.
Well, I suspect because peaches are so, you can prune the heck out of them, and you can't hardly make a mistake on pruning because they recover so quickly. And that may have been the goal there, is to reduce the foliage production in terms of production of fruit.
In favor of fruit. You harm some plants maybe will produce more if you stress them in other ways. I don't know. That's part of the theory.
I think that's absolutely true. That was the theory, of course.
Yeah.
how successful it was, I'm not sure. If anybody out there in the audience has had an experience like that or remembers, has an old How to Grow Peaches booklet and talks about that girdling, give us a call. Let us know.
My doctor, my question is, it has a chiseled design on it where you can put it onto the tree and then pull it around, and it cuts a 1/4-inch groove deep into the tree bark.
And it does a spiral rather than does not close the vascular system any place.
That's what I was told back in the day.
So you don't totally disrupt the vascular system because you're spiraling and not completing that sentence. So interesting.
Okay, my question to the doctor is, can I use this tool when I want to girdle unwanted trees like hackberries, and then make my cut all the way around about 4 inches apart, and then use a knife to peel the bark back? That would work, wouldn't it?
Probably, yeah. But I mean, to me, it would be easier just to have your little chainsaw or your pruning saw, and then do the. I know, James, you generally don't use the stump and vine killer on it. But when I'm like doing unwanted seedlings with hackberries or mulberries or any of those, then cut them close to the ground, and then on the fresh cut, you go ahead and apply one of those herbicides.
Yeah, these hackberries are underneath magnificent 50-year-old oak trees, live oaks. So I wanted to kill them by girdling, but I could make that ring cut with that little handsaw, is what you're saying, and I wouldn't need to use that knife.
Yeah, and then the neat thing about that stump and vine killer is that you got that little brush, and so you really, I don't think I've ever had an accidental killing.
You haven't harmed another nearby plant because you're brushing it on the stump. You're not spraying.
And it's just you're using just a minimal amount. But, well, technically or in theory that would work, though, that pruning strategy you're talking about. But it just seems to me it'd be easier to do our traditional pruning.
Do hackberries come back easily from the roots? So that would be my only concern. Is you might girdle that growth, and then if the roots are still healthy, you get a bunch of other sprouts that are irritating.
And Kim, in fact, you after you do your girdling, you want to stand back because that hackberry is going to be wanting to sprout again already. There's something else. That'd be an interesting experiment. Try that, James.
Okay, I'm just kind of scared of the chemical treatments because these trees were planted by Mom a long time ago, and if I killed her trees, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Well, let us practice. Let's see. James who? No, we don't know him. I don't know where he got that idea. But go ahead.
Wondering if you guys have used that treatment underneath the magnificent oak trees.
Well, I have used it in rose beds and in fence lines.
The stump killer you've used.
Yeah, and I've never had an issue like that. But that chemical is the same one that's in Remedy, which is very potent, and it will penetrate bark. And it will even penetrate a little soil, whereas things even like Roundup don't do that. But that triclopier, I believe, is the active ingredient. But that would work if you wanted to be really cautious, and if it's not not 15 acres of killing the hackberries, then that may be a good way to protect your mother's legacy there.
Well, I'll try the girdling, and I'll use the saw to make the girdling cuts, and then I'll just peel the bark back with my knife.
Yeah.
But I was wondering about that tool that it's been around here for.
Well, make sure you
years.
keep track of that, because that's a neat old tool.
Okay, it doesn't have a manufacturer's name on it or anything. I guess it was shop built, but I was told it was purchased from Pape's Pecan House.
I'll be darned. Are they still I think they're still going.
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I've taken enough of your time, and thanks for exploring my question and
All right.
giving me some advice.
All right, we'll talk to you later, James. Thanks.
Later. Bye.
Thank you, James. 210-308-8867. We'll be back talking about fall vegetables with Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
I was out there like sucking them up with the handheld vacuum cleaner.
Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Give us a call at 210-308-8867. And while we wait, we don't want to forget about talking about the fall vegetables, especially the tomatoes.
Yeah, with the I wanted to ask Karen. Karen, of course, her major emphasis over the last few years has been water conservation, but she's also been the important part of the water conservation effort here in San Antonio has involved gardening, and so it's appropriate to get her opinion on gardening. And I wanted to find out if she we got this wonderful selection of tomatoes here at Milberger's, and I was wondering if do you grow tomatoes?
I have not gone for having a raised bed in a long time. I did one many, many years ago with my kids at our old house, and I think my children were the most entertained by what I assume was a raccoon that was very neatly harvesting everything before it got big enough for us to harvest.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done a raised bed at where I live now. I've done container, big whiskey barrel style for cherry tomatoes.
Okay.
I tried that, like not this spring, but last spring.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the wonderful advantages of growing tomatoes. You can grow them successfully in containers, and we try. I think in our article we talked about, and certainly in the articles in the past weeks when we were talking about tomatoes, we talked about how best to grow them in containers. It's one of the ways you can grow tomatoes if you're in an apartment, or if you got limited space. Also, it's one of the ways to grow tomatoes to conserve water, because you can
You hand water.
That's right.
For me, part of it is there's limited sun, and so the back patio gets good sun, and so putting those whiskey barrels there was helpful. Although one thing I tried that didn't work is I bought a thing at Costco, one of those, it's kind of at hip level trays that's fairly deep that you can plant in. And it collapsed between the weight of the plants and the weight of the water in the soil. It fell apart.
Really?
It was one of the few bad Costco buys I've ever had. Was that thing was a fail. The whiskey barrels worked out, but the other thing did not.
I grow mine in a raised bed generally, but I also have some containers. But this year has been especially challenging on that heat. Even on those big plastic containers, half whiskey barrel size containers, you seem to get a lot of heat damage around. The soil reservoir is limited because of that heat. And I think gardeners have been faced with that.
And I could tell on some of the tomatoes, as they get the blossom end rot, that I probably let them dry out.
Oh gosh, yeah.
A few times. Am I right in thinking that was probably why some of them had that?
Yeah, and that's one of the issues with container growing tomatoes, especially if you don't use a large Sometimes we used to say, well, you could be successful with a 5-gallon container. Well,
it's awfully small given the heat. Yeah.
Yeah, and if the heat and doesn't bother it, then when they mature and the wind blows them over, they're top heavy. So it's a complication. There's a queen butterfly just went by us. But right now, Karen, we've got.
You said you have a lot of varieties, that there's never been better varieties to choose from. So what are those?
Tycoon, and Celebrity is there, and help me.
The Polbig's there. The Polbig.
Polbig, yeah, which is our rodeo tomato. That's a tomato that actually came from Poland, and we I don't know if you're familiar. I think you're probably familiar with the rodeo tomato process.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have thought anything from Poland would like our climate, so that's interesting. But I guess it's different seasons.
Yeah, and that's that commercial tomato market for the plants is pretty competitive, and that's one of the reasons why we have that rodeo process, so that we every year, David
it's
and
been
the
decades. It seems like this has been going on to test different tomatoes.
That's right, because we rely on the commercial tomato plant producers, and they're so competitive that they switch varieties. So we get a favorite tomato. We've managed to hang on to Tycoon and Celebrity for a while, but usually our tomatoes, we say, I love this. This is the best one, and then 2 years from now,
you can't buy it anymore.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And everybody, the gardeners say, well, we love it, and we bought 3 or 4, and every gardener I know bought 3 or 4, and then we say, well, they're mostly interested in selling 300,000 or 400,000 to get a return on those varieties, and that's one of the reasons why we go through that process. But it's a good result too. So we get a lot of choices that may really meet our needs, and especially determinate and semi-determinate selections, so that we can take advantage of our two short seasons here and
get them to fruit and finish in the.
Yeah, now we're working this next planting. We're going to try to beat the cold.
Beat the cold if we get freeze.
Yeah,
right? Like Alex said.
Yes.
If it comes, which it's supposed to, mid-November, but never know.
We'll remind gardeners that we had the president, the vice president of the Men's Garden Club here yesterday, and one of the things we were talking about is the tomatoes, because their newsletter last month had at least 3 gardeners on my column and a couple of other columns, including Charles Bartlett's column, about whether you should keep your tomatoes that you grew from the spring, because they're in pretty good shape and there's no spider mites, or if you should
should you follow the traditional advice and get them out of there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then that was a
and
really
people will die on that hill.
Oh, my mom's on that hill, so.
Yeah, it was an interesting.
There's some strong feelings there. So Calvin, so tomatoes, you're in this race against the clock to get them started and baby them through the heat. But what about the other things you can grow in the fall? Do you wait for those?
Well, it depends. Mark and I have that little debate. Mark is what likes to wait into October. I've traditionally done after September 15th. It's kind of fair game. But the heat of these last 2 years has made it kind of a worthy
the heat has held
choice.
On through September in the last couple of years. It's been it feels like remarkably hot into the end of September.
It surprises me, because they say this year is is hotter. Well, the temperatures aren't hotter this year, but I guess with the humidity and everything,
it feels worse.
For people, it's a challenge. But it also is obviously a challenge for plants, and we have to make those kind of decisions. Well, it depends on the plant. Our broccoli is pretty tolerant. We'll probably plant that after the middle of September, transplants, and we can expect a crop by Thanksgiving, and then we could replant it a couple of other times and expect crops, but once. Another thing, one of the favorite vegetables is spinach, and
don't we need it to be cooler for the spinach?
That's the problem with it. We up north we plant a lot of it by seed, but the soil is cool and the temperatures are cool. So, and if we plant it by seed here, you want to wait. But then if you wait too long, you lose most of the season. So we've started to plant it by transplant, and we'll wait until October or even November to plant it by transplants. And then we harvest the leaves as we can use them. But that is another one of the things that we talk about in the article.
And then what about things like fennel and onions? Those go later, yes? No?
Yeah. Onions for sure, and fennel. Well, the herbs have started to show up at the nurseries, and a few gardeners will try them early, and quite often they won't have a lot of success. They'll just kind of hang on, and then they won't respond. Just like the spinach, they won't respond until the soil gets cooler and the temperatures get cooler. It's tough when the nighttime temperatures are over 70 degrees.
I was wondering is the nighttime thing maybe what's really making September hard is it's not cooling down at night.
Well, one of the things we emphasize is that gives some muscle to that idea of leaving your spring tomatoes in place. But it also, the peppers and the okra, Mexican squash, eggplant, all of them love this heat and are responding to it. So you can expect those crops to keep producing. And if you want them to keep producing, you want to keep harvesting you don't want to let the okra pods all harden off, or you'll get a reduced amount of production. So you want to keep at it and take advantage of this longer season. But then you start experimenting with the winter vegetables, the radishes and the beets and turnips and rutabagas.
Onions? Are onions winter?
Yeah, onions are
kind of you put them in late, and
that's another one of those debate. The wholesalers, we've got a wonderful wholesaler in Texas that provides the onion plants, and they'll start being available towards the end of September, and I've always been more comfortable planting them in November.
Interesting.
But quite often they'll be successful if you plant them in October.
Now, one year I got some starts of I got fennel and onions and added them to a sunny bed where they weren't going to get smothered by my seasonal perennials. And that did pretty well. I got a pretty, just interspersed throughout, a bit of a cottage garden theme. The fennel ended up leaving, I think, mostly for the butterflies.
Oh, that's good. I was going to say that you can't go wrong with fennel and parsley because of the black swallowtails love it, But that's going to be. We'll have the the nurseries like Milberger's have all those transplants starting to be available right now, but we generally recommend that they not be planted until after the middle of September.
On those.
But some gardeners have had good luck with planting them early, and
all you have to do is tell a gardener it won't work, and someone will call next week and say it's what I always do. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right. Don't be telling me what will work and what won't work. Somebody like James will call us. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So, and remind us about the planting techniques that we forgot about 30 years ago for the peaches and pruning the bark.
Now, what herbs are available now?
Right now, I think we're started to see the things like fennel, and I was trying to let's see what else things are we seeing the the ones that herb that we use in tomato recipes.
Basil.
Now it's not, but it should be soon.
Okay, so I wondered about that. I usually plant my basil in the spring. I didn't do it this year, so I was thinking I might be able to get a good crop for some pesto if I put it in now and got it in.
Well, we need to have Mark here because Mark's into the herbs. Our herb expert. I can't understand why. I don't think he cooks anything, but but he does. But he's very much interested in the herbs and the success, and he kind of keeps track of the inventory for us. But they'll be coming in. September is kind of when they.
Okay, so I'll watch for it. And
pushing
sage,
the market.
I've sometimes had sage make it through the whole winter. And almost like it's a perennial in a big whiskey barrel thing. But it didn't make it the last 2 years.
Really?
Something, eventually killed it off. So I may have to try again with sage because those are ones I like to cook with. I do like to have basil and sage and rosemary. Thyme, I'm not good with thyme. I don't seem to have thyme thrive.
Yeah. Well, my wife Judy was from South Africa, and she did a lot of cooking and used a lot of the herbs, and sage is one that's continued to grow. It's been 3 years since she died, and I have not harvested any, but I keep watering it. I just kind of look at it and I say, well, I guess it's here. I'll have to water it. I'll have to take care of it. She made me promise to take care of her dog. Mm-hmm. I guess it just carries over to her herbs too. So.
That's true.
But what else do we have in terms of sale items? Do we have any of those that are pertinent to the herbs?
I think so, but we'll talk about them at the other side of this break, and we'll help this customer right now. But 210-308-8867. We'll be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas, right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Give us a call at 210-308-8867. 210-308-8867. You have a lot of...
Our guest today is Karen Guz,
yes.
Just retired as the Vice President for Conservation at San Antonio Water System, and we will be talking about water conservation a little bit. Karen may be tired of it. I don't know. After all those years.
I haven't given it up entirely. You have a job, you have what kind of extracurricular activities that you end up in, and the people for those are like, wait a minute, I don't care if you retired from SAS, your term's not up on this thing.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah,
a few of those that I haven't stopped working on.
Well, one of the issues I'd like her to cover a little bit is the success that this San Antonio has had, and the whole Central Texas area in conserving water, compared to other areas where it took a little longer. some of the other cities in Texas for sure. And why? What was the difference? And what is your thoughts in terms of the future, Carradine? I hate to put you on the spot like that.
Well, I've drunk the Kool-Aid for San Antonio from living here for over 30 years. This is my home. I love this community. And I truly believe that there's something about the values of San Antonio that people care about important issues to our community. And water is something that has consistently been top of mind for people. We're drought prone. People hear about it. They are aware of the aquifer. So that's a really good starting point to have people who pay attention and care. And then it's been, Calvin, from when you really got the Master Gardeners started, all those, a couple decades ago, it was a big conversation then and has stayed that way. So other places, if you try to talk to them about water, they don't have the same awareness of it or understanding of it.
It's almost like a challenge. You're gonna try to deny me access to water, whereas here in San Antonio, it's just been. And I don't know why it worked this way, but it's been we have to address the water issue,
and we care about it,
and we can address the water. And all those industries and our wonderful, you mentioned the Master Gardeners, all the volunteers and Men's Garden Club yesterday.
Now gardening volunteers of South Texas and Master Naturalists. So we have, your average citizen, when I would talk to people about water, I didn't really get pushback about that it was important. It's more a matter of getting people to understand opportunities that they have to contribute while they can still have a really nice landscape, for example. And I think that's been key, is that although I will be the first to say, I'm so sorry, if you really love green grass, that's a tough sell here without using a ton of water in the summer. But you can have a thriving, diverse landscape in this climate without a crazy high water bill. And that, I think, has also helped us have success, that we don't have a deprivation message really when it comes to your landscape. Maybe accept it, unless you really like an acre of green grass in full sun.
How do you get people to think of it as a, rather than it is a challenge, but it's a responsibility rather than a threat or an attempt. The water conservation effort is not in San Antonio. It doesn't seem to be an attempt to deny the attractive gardening and all the fun that we have in gardening. It is a challenge, of course, but then we come up with the rules to meet our water needs, but we also. Well, I guess that's part of it. The thing is, we come up with the rules. All of us,
the community. It's not a few people sitting in a back room and saying these are the watering hours and times. And I'm going to tell you a pet peeve I have in my field, which is that we never encourage using the word xeriscape, which is a tough word. It's about dry landscape, starts with an X. No one knows how to say it. And so I can't tell you how many very smart people I've heard stand up and say, I'm so proud I have a xeriscape. I don't have any plants. And I'm like, oh, no, that was not our message. This is why we don't like that word. We say water saver landscapes or garden style landscapes or garden style San Antonio landscapes, because the message is not no landscapes, no trees. So that misunderstanding of that word is problematic.
We want to give our elected officials through history, too, a lot of credit for some reason. Maybe it was out of necessity. We didn't have any easy answers, so elected officials had to say, well, we got to come up with some exciting ideas and compromises, and then we have to have people buy into the ideas and the compromises. And That is work. I take it though that the communities throughout Texas and the U.S. are getting more and more conscious and in that same league with San Antonio, do you think? Or
parts of the country that have really ramped it up in recent years include California, Utah, some other places where California is not kidding around. They've taken a very different approach at the state level than Texas, kind of a top-down regulatory things, but with the same spirit of we have to conserve in order to manage the water in this state. So when I go to conferences, I'm on committees and talk to people, there have never been more people choosing to work on water efficiency and figure out what really works, what gets results. And that's true across Texas as well. More cities, we're not the only ones in San Antonio taking it seriously.
Yeah, well, and that...
I'm the only ones in Texas taking it seriously, is what I meant to say.
I'm always excited when our gardeners and the citizens and elected officials are proud of the success we've had and are conscious of the, one of the things the San Antonio water system under Karen's leadership has done is make sure we know what that means in terms of numbers. When we say that we've had success with water conservation, it means that we got a population that's 30% greater than it used to be, but we're still using the same amount or less water. Yeah,
can't quite say that, but we haven't. The water use as a whole has not skyrocketed.
And now, of course, we got a lot of innovative, the recycling programs and the treating.
Brackish groundwater, and the storing it underground for the aquifer storage and recovery. So the one we do to be able to take it back out. There have been innovative things on the supply side and on the water demand side that we tell people if we think back to prior droughts and what the per capita water use was in the 2011 drought, it went up to 150. In that first year, 2011, that was such a terrible hot year. And that did not happen in this drought. We wanted it to be around 111. We got up to 120.
So that's why my tomato plants keep dying, huh?
Now, Calvin, it's really about your grass more than your tomato plants. One of the things that's
I quit watering my grass 6 years ago.
Well, and truly, I have said to people that if we look at where the water goes, it's generally not someone's raised bed vegetable garden or herbs that are taking up a huge volume of water, and people often hand water those. So that's pretty frugal when you do it that way. It's automatic irrigation on grass that's been the thing I think we've had to tighten our belts on to get success.
But then we also keep reminding gardeners out there, we're bragging on our success and we thank them for participating. But we also keep reminding them, you got to continue. You got to continue holding the leadership responsible and coming up with new ideas, and then agreeing when those ideas are accepted, agreeing to enforce whatever rules we've put in place. So it doesn't stop this year or next year. You got to keep going. But I just wanted to thank you, Karen, for all you've contributed, and also to thank the citizens out there and the leadership for the real wonderful success we've had. It makes it possible, Alex, for us to do our gardening and debate about whether we're going to pot up our tomatoes or if we're going to just plant them directly into the garden.
That's true, and we'll continue our discussion after the news, but we'll be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
We're We're back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas, live from Milberger's Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. Come out to visit or call us at 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. And now back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 930 AM The Answer.
Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 930 AM The Answer. Alex Escobar with Dr. Calvin Finch and Karen Guz, the former SAWS conservation leader. We appreciate you being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Give us a call at 210-308-8867, 210-308-8867. We do have a lot of sales going on for a lot of plants that are really great for this type of weather. We have Mexican Heather, also known as Kufia, in a number 1, regularly $9.99, on sale for $7.88. One of the Texas superstars we have is Esperanzas, in a number 2, regularly $24.99, on sale for $16.88. We also have the blue plumbagos right here in front of us on sale, in a number 1, regularly $9.99, on sale for $7.88. Also lantanas, in a number 1, regularly $9.99, on sale for $7.88.
We also need to mention...
And the Pride of Barbados, do you know what the sale is on those?
Yes, it is. Values up to $34.99. They're on sale 10% off.
We need to mention that this is... It doesn't sound like it, but this is consistent with one of the issues Karen has about the fall planting. Milberger's wants us to remind everybody that we're not doing the weekend sod pieces because it's right with this heat and everything. It's just not practical or successful. But if you do have a professional project and you got access to the water and this fall that Milberger's will get you the large quantities of sod that you need, and help you be successful with that, and work with you on the timing, so that you're when you bring it out there, you're gonna have a grass that is going to survive. And Karen, is that considered what the big fall issue? What is the
The problem for grass right now for folks, if they're a SAWS customer, is that unless it's new construction or you just had to dig up everything in your backyard for some reason, disrupt everything, there's not going to be a variance to run a hose end or an automatic sprinkler system more than one day a week. And so we say to people, if you want to lay down more sod in the fall, that's certainly better to do it in the fall than in the middle of summer. But just plan for being out there, spending some time outside, hand watering it as it gets established, because you don't want to get a violation. And I feel badly when people plant it and then call and ask for the variance and they're told no.
Yeah, that's one of the issues. The point there is that you want to confer with the supplier, which is the Milbergers, and with your community rules, which are the San Antonio water system, and your professional grass applier. So it's not a simple issue.
Because you got to pick a good grass for your conditions, and hopefully you amend your soil and everything. Yeah. So there's lots of, like you said, things to consider to set that grass up for success if you are putting more down.
I bet, but as Karen's point there is, make sure that you review all the situation and the rules and what's the best for not only for your landscape, but also for water conservation in the long term and success. So another one of the issues that's not that simple is the lawn grass. But that's one of when we are successful in water conservation and careful about it, follow the rules, that does give us flexibility to eventually get the important characteristics that we want on landscapes, so attractive and efficient. So it's not simple,
It's
but
not
it is
simple.
it
Now,
is possible.
For now, SAW is out of the stage 3, and so the people may not know what that means, but the stage 3 that's been in place the last, I think, 2 years has been a high use surcharge. And so if you go over a certain volume in a month, you're going to start paying extra fees on top of your normal water bill, which makes something like planting new sod extra expensive. That has been lifted because there was enough rain to bring the aquifer up enough for long enough to come out of stage 3. Hopefully that lasts. We'll knock on wood and hope that lasts. But so I suppose that's a good thing about if you choose to put in even new perennials, new grass, and you're hand watering them. Hopefully you stay under that threshold, that 20,000 gallons a month, but you won't have to worry about the surcharges.
Well, and also it's to us horticulturists and giving out gardening advice, it's important that you make the right decision about, Karen mentioned the type of lawn grass. You know, if you don't have enough sun out there, it doesn't do you any good to go replant sod. Even San Augustine, where San Augustine needs 8 hours of sun, and so you should consider when it's reasonable to plant it. You can consider the using the drought tolerant, shade tolerant choices, and there's a lot of options, and of course a lot of them are right in front of us. Some of them are on sale, but all kinds of plants that can be successful in terms of the growing in the shade and being attractive and fun to grow. And I think that and they're also consistent with the San Antonio water system rules that Karen was talking about.
You've also talked about the past few weeks and months about houses maybe back 10, 20 years used to be full sun, but now trees have been growing in.
Oh yeah. So maybe the grass did okay, and now
then, yes.
You know, that tree shade is so lovely, and we value it so much here. But we do meet people who don't realize that wonderful canopy shade is why their grass is declining.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then we also try to remind everybody, celebrate the shade.
Yeah, exactly. Notice I'm saying that's really valuable.
Yeah,
you don't want to give that up.
You're not. It's not terrible to get by or to get these drought tolerant and shade tolerant plants because they're attractive and easy to grow, and in the long run they use a lot less water and a lot less maintenance than grass does, lawn grass. And we didn't. Of course, I'm not that old, but I don't remember before World War II. I don't think we had many lawns. Karen,
you're looking at Alex and asking him the question. He's shaking his head at you, like, and I would know this, Calvin.
I wasn't there either, so I couldn't say.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's been it's been decades that it's become such a trend to have it be the default thing laid down, and one of the problems that the newer, I say newer, maybe 10, 20, 30-year-old homes, maybe newer, is in that time period, sadly, if you're building in an area like where we are now and there's not a lot of natural soil, and that sod is laid down on a sprinkling of soil and then a lot of limestone rock, it's just never going to thrive. And so one of the things I would encourage people to do is go out there and check and see if you're contemplating where you want grass, check the sun, and then also ask yourself if you have 4-6 inches of quality soil, and if you don't, invest in that, because that grass, if you keep laying it on rock, it's just asking for trouble in the summer.
One of the things we should have done, we did strengthen our ordinances in terms of requiring, if you put in a new lawn requiring 4 inches of soil, we should have done 6 inches.
We tried. We
6 inches.
We didn't win that fight, but 6 is better.
6, yeah. The research indicate that even the grasses we're talking about, they won't look the best, but they'll recover if you've got 6 inches of soil and a reasonable, conservative watering program. And so that's what we can do. We just got to take advantage of the flexibility that we have and make some good choices, and then continue to make decisions that help us be successful in the future. So,
but it's grass aside, it's just such a great time to contemplate, I think, putting down more of those perennials that you mentioned are on sale right now. Fall is, to me, a better time than spring to put things in, because you have the whole winter before we get the heat of summer again.
That's true.
And refer everybody back to our winter gardening article too. Mm-hmm. And it's in the Express News, and you can get that edition if you get the Saturday edition, but you can also get it. I think the article is available in the Sunday edition too, if you want to go down to your corner shop and get the newspaper. But what we're talking about is one of the neat things about gardening in the San Antonio area is that you can grow. That we have, basically 12 months of growing time.
Yeah.
Okay. 12 months of color we talk about all the time, and we're talking about vegetables that we can plant now, vegetables that we're harvesting now, vegetables that we're planting later and we'll harvest later. So we have there's a lot to learn, but that's half the fun. It's one of the reasons why the San Antonio Men's Garden Club and the Naturalists and Master Gardeners and all of those organizations are so happy to have the members and attract the members, because there's just a lot to learn and ability to learn, and then it also gives you an opportunity to contribute to success in dealing with our conditions here in this in our community and in our territory. We love our area, and we just have to conform with the situation the way it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you said, we're a place prone to these long periods like the current one where we don't get rain for a month. But if we plant smart, the plants that we put in can get by that even that 30-day period.
So you were mentioning the perennials. What are your favorites on the perennials?
Well, we were talking about how things did this year, and I think a lot of people experienced this. We started the year with several months of getting rain that we hadn't had in so long.
June was wonderful.
And yes. June was lovely. And I had some perennials I had put in, 4 or 5 years ago that I thought were almost like maybe dead. And with those rains, the salvias in particular weren't thriving in past years. I wasn't nice enough to them on adding water. And boy, with those rains we had this spring, I had all the blue salvias just came back and were gorgeous. My poinciana never stopped performing, the Pride of Barbados, but I was telling Calvin before we started, it's 7 feet tall right now, some of it. It's in conditions it likes, it's in good soil, and it's a monster. Absolutely stunning. So, of course, in the last 30 days, there hasn't been rain for those plants, so they're not looking their best today. But they're really an advertisement for picking those warm season perennials that are pretty tough.
Well, and they're
because they come back and look beautiful.
That's right, and we got lots of choices. You mentioned the salvias. Salvia coccinea has got that red flower.
Oh, that is a nice one.
Yeah, the pollinators love it. Hummingbirds will come to it. It's also shade
I was going to say, I plant that in kind of shady areas.
Yeah.
The red salvias.
That does very well in the shade.
And I will say, my opinion is that even the blue salvias, they still bloom if they get afternoon shade. Like if they get enough morning sun they still do pretty darn well for
Well,
me.
Salvia greggii, which is another perennial salvia that really doesn't normally freeze back in the wintertime. That's another one that can do pretty well in the shade.
Yeah.
And then that's a lot of color, different colors, pinks and whites and reds for sure, and even some bluish.
Are the blue in Salvia greggii? I've seen so many shades of it. I didn't know if I'd seen, and then with the, I'm thinking of like the indigo spires and the black and blue salvias.
Yeah. And the deer don't eat the salvias.
I don't have them in my front yard. I'm near Hollywood Park, so I'm not sure if they eat the salvias in my neighborhood. I have them in the backyard.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Our deer do not eat part of Barbados in Hollywood Park. At least not mine.
Yeah, that's generally pretty safe. Well, one of the things that we've got a ton of here are vincas. Oh, and yes. That's another one that the deer don't eat.
They don't seem to eat those. They don't eat Esperanza for me.
No, I think you're right. Now we've had occasionally you'll have them taste the Esperanza. The deer
just tear it, and then spit it out. I think
the deer have a tendency to be dominating force, kind of like some of the little kids we see helping their mom and dad with their picking the plants out here, but. The deer don't generally eat the vinca, and they're a good choice. Another great that's another great plant for containers. Vincas. They are doing.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they are doing pretty well. Zinnias are one of my favorites, and of course one of the butterfly favorites. But zinnias have a look of not requiring much water, but they're a little more sensitive to dry than
getting dried out.
The vinca, and certainly.
The vincas are pretty tough.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I have encouraged people who are just feeling downtrodden by the unrelenting heat and lack of rain, and wanting to do something is have a big container and put some pretty blooming flowers in it, and change them out periodically, because it's not that hard to throw some water on that. And it's a splash of color in your life that'll make you feel good every day when you see it. If you're not, the heat is making you not have the energy to take up putting stuff in the bed.
Well, and also you can even have that splash of color with the winter vegetables, bright light Swiss chard, and those lettuce, all those different colored leaf lettuce, the transplants that are available. You can plant seed too, but it's easier to use the transplants on the leaf lettuce, and then your onions that you mentioned.
And I've seen people, I think, add the leaf lettuce and some of those others to their garden beds, like I was saying have done with onions in the past. Yeah. Like you got blank spots, you can in the winter add those in there.
Yeah, that's right, and they're
you don't need a special vegetable bed.
They're nutritious and they're attractive. They're pretty. Yeah, easy to grow and a lot of color. That bright light Swiss chard. Alex, have you ever grown that or seen that?
I don't think I have.
I don't think I've seen it. What color is it?
Well, take your choice.
Okay.
They've got some of them. They got a golden stem, green, orange, and bluish. It's Swiss chard. So
I'm
one of the neat
learn
things,
to cook Swiss chard. I don't think I've ever cooked with it.
Yeah, one of the neat things about it is that it is good over a long season. Quite often, even a longer season.
So it's kind of an all-winter.
Oh yeah.
Option. Okay.
Yeah. And then you harvest the foliage as you want to use it, and it keeps a mild taste into the warmer part of the spring even, so that's a good choice there. But gosh, yeah, if you want an attractive color area in your garden, use it. The plants are relatively large, so if you're going to do it in container, and it does look nice in containers, you want the large container. But yeah, that's a good choice too. Let's see, well, and then leaf lettuce. You mentioned the onions. Carrots, carrots are pretty attractive.
Really?
Even growing in containers.
I guess they're feathery looking at their tops.
The green. The green. And of course, always think that they're one of the favorites of the kids, of the grandkids and the children. If you grow carrots, you talk about one of the most nutritious vegetables around. Relatively easy to grow. And attractive too.
Kids are more likely to eat it than like some of the other ones, maybe.
Yeah, that's good. So that's one of the things we talk about in the article in the container and which ones are colorful if you have limited space. Now, of course, if you're going to grow vegetables in container, you're going to make sure you use the fertilizer that's designed for containers. You don't want to be, as much as we like 1959, but it doesn't work well for containers because it releases a strong dose of.
So what do you recommend instead?
Osmocote.
I thought you were going to say Osmocote.
Well, and then I've got one of my neighbors who's a wonderful gardener and does all his gardening in containers. He actually uses the implants. It's a fertilizer.
It just dissolves over?
No, it's a kind of it does. It just kind of releases. And they sell it here at Milberger's. And the reason he promotes it is that it works just as well as Osmocote, and it's less expensive. Osmocote is a wonderful fertilizer, but it is a little expensive. So if you want that option, you can give that a try, and it works pretty well. Now, in the spinach, if you wait until middle of October and plant it, Karen, how many plants do you think you need for a family of one plant per person? I mean, it's not as productive as Swiss chard or
Swiss chard gets pretty big, right? The spinach is a smaller bunch.
Yeah, and Chinese cabbage and things like that. You have one or two plants and kind of does pretty well in keeping the family in greens. But with spinach, and then spinach is so popular used in recipes and in salads that if it's available, people will use it.
Now, the spinach is quicker than some others, right? Radishes and spinach, are they fairly quick to harvest?
Well, the spinach, if you use a transplant.
I was thinking of it as a transplant. The radishes.
Turnips are really are pretty fast and easy to grow, too. Now, of course, if you're from Minnesota or you're Scandinavian, you rutabagas, or Ireland even, you use grow.
They will grow here, though?
Oh,
rutabaga?
Gosh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Mark and I tease a lot about rutabagas because
he's from Michigan.
Yeah.
And you're Minnesota, so.
Yeah. And then it is a plant that they use a lot in the north and in Europe too. So that's a good choice.
So I have a question about something I never see for sale here.
You want to?
Rhubarb. Do you need to take a break?
Real quick.
Okay, I'll ask you when we come back.
All right, 210-308-8867. We're going to be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Give us a call at 210-308-8867. We do have a couple of items that are still for sale here at Milberger's we haven't brought up. Citrus trees are starting at $49.99. They're 10% off. We also have agave and cactus, which values to $299.99. They're also 10% off. We also have star jasmine, also known as Confederate jasmine, and a number 5 values to $34.99. They're on sale for $28.88. We also have Texas sage, values $149.99, 10% off, and crepe myrtle, regularly $44.99, on sale for $38.88.
Lots of sale items. Where do they, if they want to look at the entire list, where do they go?
They go to Milberger's website. It's milbergernursery.com, milbergernursery.com. So they have all their sale items there, as well as events coming up. Yesterday they just had their blood drive for August. The next one looks like it's on September 5th. Again, for those who come and attempt to donate, you do receive a $10 gift certificate to Milberger's, as well as some other goodies that the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center give out for those who are able to donate.
And Alberto and Charles were here yesterday for the leadership of the Men's Garden Club. Of course, it's the Men's and Women's Garden Club, really, for over half the membership are women, and it's got a long history. I'm sure you enjoyed it if you were able to hear the show yesterday, because that history in terms of youth gardening and environmental issues and their role in starting the Master Gardeners and water conservation, they played a big role. But they wanted us to make sure that, now they can't understand why they thought we might be interested in this. They wanted us to remind everybody that the annual Monarch and Butterfly and Pollinator Festival is on October 3rd at Breckenridge Park, if you want to participate.
That is a fun event.
You've participated in that?
I've been. It's big, lots of people, families everywhere, all kinds of fun things for kids. If you're inclined to bring some kids with you, they have fun activities for them.
And that's just another one of those links. We were talking. I'm excited about the success of water conservation, but when you have success with gardening programs, and you're able to do gardening programs, then people stay excited about the water conservation too. There's no reason not to be excited about the gardening in the San Antonio area or participating in the water conservation program.
Well, and it's a happy coincidence that the plants that benefit butterflies tend to be ones that thrive in our area naturally. And so, that's just one more reason to love your diverse landscape. Well,
watch for the column next Saturday. We're going to be talking about monarchs and milkweeds, and talk about the nectar plants and pollinators, as well as the milkweeds that monarchs need the nest on. But anyway, the festival at the Butterfly and Pollinator Festival at Breckenridge Park is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on October 3rd, and you can go ahead and look on the let's see. I think we go ahead and look into Men's Garden Club, their website. You'll find the information there, and you just go to the Breckenridge Park on the October 3rd on Saturday and participate. Great program. Another program that in October is the San Antonio Garden Center Flower Show. And that is from 1:30 to 5:30 p.m. on the Saturday, the 17th, and also the 18th is from noon to 4 p.m. And that's at the San Antonio Garden Center. So if you want to participate in that program, lots of action in the gardening program. Butterflies, attractive flowers, water conservation. The important issues, and the fun issues, and a lot to learn and a lot to contribute. Karen, any other?
So I wanted to ask you about. I'm sitting here where I can see this long line of citrus that happens to be on sale right now, and I don't know. I may want to try citrus again. I've never had huge luck. The last time we had a really hard freeze, I lost my satsuma. And it had never gotten to big production before it was taken out. But talk to me, Calvin, about what's the good time to do citrus, and I'm assuming containers with a lot of them to protect them.
Yeah, some of them for sure. Well, that's one of the neatest plants that we can grow in this area. They're very attractive, evergreen foliage, fragrant blooms, and they produce fruit. Grapefruit, the grapefruit you mentioned, the limes and the lemons and the satsumas, and there's even some tangerines that survive. But of course, the challenge is the freeze protection. You have to be, if you're going to be successful with them, you have to be ready to protect them. And if you can, the limes and the lemons are the most sensitive, so quite often we grow them in large containers, but containers that we can move into shelter, because you have to move them into shelter if it's much below freezing. The other option is that you on things like satsumas and the grapefruit, that you can plant them out in the landscape, but you have to be prepared to cover them. I was talking about earlier about the almost like these tent-like structures that a lot of gardeners have created, and it gets to be the winter time, and they just unfold.
They have this frame around their grapefruit or their satsuma ready to cover it at a moment's notice.
That's right. Now, the plastic is not generally used, although some gardeners yesterday were talking about it, as long as you can, because it helps protect it from the cold, but then it heats up real quickly, and that's another challenge. So what you do there, if you have a tent, you just have to be able to open it to let the air in there. But then the other thing that you have to have, usually, you have that structure, and it can be, cloth.
You need some warm something to give off a little bit of heat. Is I thought one of the
not
challenges.
Always, a little bit, quite a bit.
Quite a bit? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and guess what? Does not work. The LED lights don't work. We used to tell people to put the
old-fashioned Christmas lights. Was one of the things.
Oh, and my favorite are the mechanics lights.
That kind of hang. You see that.
Yeah, you saw that you got your tent-like protection, and then you hang that mechanics light in there, but the old-fashioned, not the LED. You want the ones that produce the heat, and then they are on when the cold weather is there, and then they protect the plants, and then you turn them off when you don't need to use them. But they work pretty well, and so. But it's not the easiest process. When I had a lot of the plants, I would have a extension cord, that would run all the way around and hook up to every one of the lemons and limes, and then there would be the heat source in there. And earlier I used the Christmas lights, but the Christmas lights are more complex, the smaller light, lots of cords and everything, and then of course now it's hard to find
ones that put out any heat. They intentionally don't do that now.
But that mechanical light is much easier to use, and so that works pretty well. But we'll talk about that and write about that a lot pretty soon. Yeah. So we're getting into September. We'll start worrying about that in October. November is
so people could buy it now and start get their citrus planted, but really the time you start really discussing it as because other things kind of taper off as a winter activity, winter.
Well, and they're attractive right now. A lot of us have citrus that have fruit on them. Lemons and limes can be. People have started to harvest them for their drinks and for their for the recipes. and then the grapefruit. Now you want to be a little careful if you have a lot of prescriptions. So grapefruit.
Oh, grapefruit. Yeah, I've heard doctors say it's a medicine, not a plant, not a fruit.
Alex, do you remember what that the grapefruit? Mark and I go through this but the name of the grapefruit is. It's one that's the easiest to grow. It's got seeds, but it has pretty good cold production. Yeah, but ruby red does pretty well too. So, but you do want to have a plan and a structure ready for action to cover them.
There's a house in Hollywood Park when I take walks that I pass, and they have huge containers with citrus full of fruit up and down the driveway, along the side of the driveway to get sun because everywhere else is shaded. And I always imagined that there must be some production of wheeling those things into the garage or something because they've been there for years and haven't frozen and they're full of fruit.
What kind of fruit?
I feel like I should knock on the door and say, what do you do?
Yeah.
How are you protecting these? He seems to have, she, whoever's doing the work, has a variety of fruit in these, and it's all containerized. And they're pretty big, huge containers, big plants. And so I'm curious to know what the secret is. How do you know? You got a big dolly and you're bringing them into the garage and the car has to stay out because the citrus is coming in, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, we've got 10 or 12 different types of citrus here, and easy to grow and relatively easy in containers too. And if you can put them in containers and then you have one of those. A lot of gardeners have those wheels and and if you have a greenhouse, or you just can move them right into the structure, or actually all you need is a shelter, and then you move them when the temperatures, if they're easy to move, then you can move them out when the cold weather threat.
Now my husband's been my plant mover in cold weather. And he did request.
He doesn't complain about that at all, does he?
Oh no, I was getting there. He's been pretty nice about it, but he did ask me to stop putting such plants in big ceramic pots. That's uncalled for. If I'm going to ask him to.
Oh yeah, they're heavy, and then they're also heavy. It's the structure. They have a tendency to break.
And then they break if you drop them. So. And
they also have an issue with the freezing temperatures, up and down temperatures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ceramics. I love those. I love those.
I like glazed,
pots.
Pretty colored pots. I like them, but I since I want him to do the labor of moving these big plants for me, I switched.
I don't like when the freeze is completed. Usually they don't break apart the day after the freeze, but
so they crack.
2 weeks
later.
Or 2 months later, there's a big pile of the parts from the ceramics or whatever, the clay.
The beautiful aloe vera pot is no more.
Yeah.
I guess I've had pretty good luck with that overall, but they're just so heavy, it's so difficult to move that they're impractical for the things that need to move.
They used to be on sale. Are they on sale?
Not now, but I'm pretty sure sooner or later they'll go back on sale. But we're going to take one last break for today. So give us a call at 210-308-8867. We're going to be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We've got about 10 minutes in our show today. I just want to thank Karen Guz for coming out today.
Thank you.
Giving us a lot of great information. Right now
we have a new guest.
We do. We have Mary, Milberger's
guest.
Yes.
Well, let's introduce. Are we on?
Yes, we're on.
Okay. Let's. We got Mary here. We want to introduce Mary to Karen Guz, who's the former conservation vice president for the San Antonio water system, plus a longtime master gardener and gardener. And Mark's off to some event, and so Karen agreed to sit in for him. And we've been driving her crazy about the butterflies, but I want to go ahead and still
Calvin can't concentrate when a butterfly flits by. It's understandable, but he loses his train of thought completely while he's excited, of course, about the butterfly.
It's a butterfly.
It's important.
Yeah.
We've seen this morning we saw queens and fritillaries and big sulfurs, and then your longtail.
The white-striped longtail.
Yeah. What else? Any other action?
The smaller ones, like the gray hair streak.
Which is the one that in Karen's Esperanza, that the place where they lay eggs, their favorite place.
Oh, is it? They
Yeah.
like Esperanza.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And of course, the butterfly garden right now is suffering with this heat. So I've been out there desperately watering it.
Uh-huh.
But
When is your expectation for the monarchs to show up?
well, possibly September.
So that's like a week away, isn't it? Or
Just about.
yeah. So it isn't as terrible as everybody is letting on. That me getting excited and watching for the monarchs here, huh?
Yeah, you love those monarchs.
Yeah.
And
Tell us about that. What a certified butterfly garden? What are we trying to accomplish with that certified?
well, you try to accomplish some butterflies being able to breed in the garden. So I have the milkweed for the monarchs and the queens that they lay their eggs on, and you get caterpillars. And I have also got horse herb, which the border patch sometimes eat on.
Uh-huh.
What else do I have in there?
You got a lot of nectar plants too.
Yes. The frog fruit, which is also the host plant for the fawn crescent butterfly.
Which is a common one we'll see around here. I haven't seen it the last few days, but
Yeah,
they're smaller, so
they're smaller, yes. Which other ones?
yeah. Now, what about for the gardeners that are interested in supporting the monarch? We're worried about their monarch population. Got any advice for them in terms of what should they plant, or should they have nectar? I mean,
Yeah, you plant the nectar plants for the migrating monarchs. They need nectar.
what's your advice on on whether we should encourage the monarchs to lay their eggs this fall, or should they just move on over there?
You're asking her to wade into the controversy, Calvin. But
Yeah, that's a hot topic in the butterfly world, where the tropical milkweed is deterring them from migrating all the way back to Mexico.
Yeah,
And
we're going too late, so they get
caught by.
It is a controversial issue. Well, our compromise has been that we recommend that you prune it back at the ground level on October 1st, so that because it takes 30 days for the eggs to mature, and so that means they wouldn't get on the road until November if they lay eggs after October 1st. So that's not a perfect. And of course, if you listen to the native plant people, that's certainly not a perfect recommendation.
No, they just don't want you to plant it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's hard to resist, isn't it?
It is,
it's
'cause
in
it
terms of the
works.
gardeners that they love. The gardeners like it. It's easy to grow,
It's pretty.
and
Blooms.
not to mention the monarchs that seems to be their favorite.
Yes, they do enjoy it. Yes.
And how about the queens have been using?
Yeah, the queens too. Yeah, I get to see queens right now. They're coming around, and they're hanging around that milkweed.
How about any action on the butterfly weed? That's another one that it blooms easy, but we're not sure how. It's a good nectar plant, but we're not sure if it's it's one of the serious milkweed nesting sites.
Right. Well, we had one instance where I caught a monarch eating on it, a caterpillar.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And you took some photos too.
I did. It was proof that they were eating on it.
Yeah.
And I think I saw more than one on that host plant. But
we have at least one author, Aljilska Getke. She said that she has not ever seen the butterfly milkweed, the monarch's nest on it, because the chemistry is a little different than the other
interesting.
Milkweeds.
Yeah.
It's not as potent. They love the nectar, and it's a native milkweed.
But will they lay their eggs there and as much? I don't know. But you've seen some caterpillars. So,
I have.
So that would seem to say some will get over it and use that plant.
Yeah.
Now Karen, we someday hopefully we'll get this. We should have recorded this, but we had one of our teachers that has a class of young people who are involved with the butterflies. She was on the phone describing how wonderful it was when all the caterpillars hatched and they were there, and the kids, I think they were third graders or fifth graders, and they were just cheering and enjoying it. And then the flock of the wasps came swooping
no.
in. And it was just devastating. They were just like in a movie.
So the wasps attacked the butterflies as they came out?
The caterpillars.
As they emerged? Oh, the caterpillars. They ate the caterpillars.
Yeah.
Before they even went into their chrysalis. And
it was just like a movie, because then there was silence on TV.
Oh, no.
And she says, we asked how the kids reacted to that, and she said we had a great disappointment in there. But
oh dear,
they now realize that this is part of nature, and you have to put up with both. And so they've overlooked this, and they've moved on to continuing support of the butterfly reproduction. So I'm sure I was trying to imagine a third grader saying that, but I couldn't imagine it. But there are just lots of folks. I'm not the only crazy one about the butterflies.
So you've probably forgotten this incident, Calvin, but years ago when we both worked for San Antonio Water System at the old building and I was a planner, we decided that monarchs would be the theme for an event. And we wanted to show the life cycle. So we found a place that we could order the caterpillars, and we had these nets, and we had the host plants, and we wanted people to be able to see them. So the controversy at the time was, San Antonio Water System's a water utility, a pretty conservative place. Most of procurement is about pipes and things like that, you can imagine. And I was ordering live insects to be delivered 2 saws.
Very interesting.
And I kept waiting to be fired, but it went fine. Nobody really paid enough attention or noticed that live insects came in. But then the controversy was, was that okay? Were we messing with, because they were coming from another state, and was that somehow bad? What was going to be the fate of these because we released them? But people loved the display in action.
Karen didn't squeal on me because I pretended I didn't know her. I don't know why she did that.
He was just my boss, and he had plausible deniability. I don't know anything about any employee ordering what? No. I don't know what she's talking about.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your effort on that certified butterfly garden.
Thank you.
And maybe it'll come tomorrow.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll keep our eyes
He'll be here
peeled
soon.
for
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank
We're
you.
inside 20 seconds. We just want to thank Karen for taking the time to be on our show today. And thank you, Mary, for always coming up with the updates. But thank you, everyone, for listening to Milberger's Gardening South Texas, right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday.